The warrants are for sort of a bad check, and then theft greater than $100,000, gambling at a casino, taking out a marker for the $100,000 or more. There was attempts to negotiate with Mr. Morris. Those have been unresponsive.
An NBA vet suddenly arrested at an airport. No bail, no food, and a $265,000 Las Vegas debt nobody saw coming. Was it fraud? Or was Marcus Morris just another victim of a trap that swallowed athletes for decades? Today, we're diving into the real story, the one the headlines didn't tell you. Let's get into it. On the morning of July 28, 2025, Marcus Morris Sr. was going about his offseason. The 13-year NBA veteran had spent over a decade carving out a name for himself in the league. And now, he was passing through Fort Lauderdale International Airport about to set out on a family vacation to the Bahamas. Then, everything changed. Out of nowhere, law enforcement showed up and placed Morris under arrest. The charges? 2 allegedly bounced checks totaling nearly $265,000 to 2 Las Vegas casinos, $150,000 to Wynn, and $115,000 to MGM Grand. But this wasn't some quiet civil lawsuit or delayed payment dispute. In the state of Nevada, this kind of debt is treated as a criminal offense. Morris was booked, held without bail, and according to his own account, kept in custody for 51 hours, without food, without water, and without a clear explanation. For fans who followed his NBA journey, the news was surreal. This was a player who had suited up for marquee franchises like the Celtics, Knicks, and Clippers. He was no stranger to high-pressure games or big paydays. But now, he found himself facing felony-level allegations over a gambling debt, and the public had questions. Marcus Morris has always been the kind of player fans respect, not for superstardom, but for consistency and toughness. He entered the league in 2011, selected 14th overall by the Houston Rockets, just 1 pick after his twin brother, Marquise, who was drafted by the Phoenix Suns. Their draft day story was memorable, but Marcus's journey would be uniquely his own. In Houston, he struggled for minutes, barely breaking through in a crowded rotation. But that didn't last long. He found new life in Phoenix, teaming up with his brother before eventually moving on to Detroit and Boston, where his gritty play and scoring ability began to shine. As a Celtic, Morris became known for his defense, his clutch shooting, and his attitude, the kind of guy who wouldn't back down from anyone. Then came New York, where he had one of the most productive stretches of his career, followed by a high-profile trade to the Los Angeles Clippers. There, he became an essential piece alongside Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, helping the Clippers reach the Western Conference Finals in 2021. Marcus Morris wasn't a household name, but in basketball circles, he was deeply respected. A tough stretch 4 who could shoot, defend, and bring veteran leadership, the kind of player any contender would want. By 2023, Morris had played in over 800 games, earned more than $100 million, and built a reputation as a reliable role player. He was never the star, but he was always in the fight, which made his sudden arrest all the more confusing. How does someone with that kind of experience and that kind of money end up in jail over casino debt? To understand how this situation with Marcus Morris spiraled so quickly, you have to understand the dangerous game behind casino markers, a system that seems harmless until it suddenly isn't. In the high roller rooms of Las Vegas, traditional forms of payment, credit cards, debit transactions, wire transfers, aren't the currency of choice. Instead, casinos issue markers, essentially short-term, unsecured loans that allow gamblers to play with house money. It's a handshake deal backed by a signed promissory note, often disguised as a check. On paper, it seems like a convenience. For someone like Marcus Morris, a millionaire athlete with a clean public image and a long NBA resume, walking into a casino and pulling a marker for $150,000 doesn't raise an eyebrow. There's no background check, no awkward conversations, just a signature. But behind that smooth process is one of the strictest and most unforgiving systems in the country. In the state of Nevada, casino markers are considered negotiable instruments, the same as a check. And when that marker isn't repaid by the deadline, usually within 30 days, it's treated as a bounce check under Nevada law. The second that happens, it becomes a criminal matter. There's no grace period, no leniency. Once the casino decides you're in default, they don't call collections, they call the Clark County District Attorney's Office. And the DA doesn't treat it as a missed payment. They treat it as theft by fraud. The legal implications are severe. The unpaid amount is over $1,200, and in Marcus Morris's case, it was more than 200 times that. The offense is automatically a Category D felony. That can carry a prison sentence of 1 to 4 years, plus restitution, court fees, and potentially a permanent criminal record. Even if you pay it back after the fact, the damage may already be done. And here's where it gets even darker. Las Vegas casinos operate with enormous influence. They've built entire departments dedicated to ensuring that high-profile debtors, especially celebrities, athletes, or anyone who might make headlines, are pursued with maximum force. The reason isn't just financial, it's about control. It's about sending a message. Nobody walks out on the house. There's a long, quiet history of Vegas, making examples out of those who fall behind, not just with the courts, but with humiliation. The more public the arrest, the more powerful the warning to the next person thinking about delaying payment. And when you dig deeper, you realize this system is set up to exploit ego, fame, and convenience. Athletes walk into casinos expecting VIP treatment, and they get it. Private rooms, endless drinks, a line of credit larger than most people's annual salary. But what what they're never told, or what they forget, is that once you sign that marker, you're playing on their terms. Casinos aren't just gambling houses. They're business machines, ones that are protected by some of the most aggressive debt enforcement laws in America. And the moment you fall behind, they stop treating you like a customer. They start treating you like a criminal. That's the trap. It's not just about the money. It's about the silence, the speed, the absolute power that Las Vegas wields over its players, even the ones who've played in NBA Finals. For Marcus Morris, it wasn't about refusing to pay. It was about a delay, a missed signal, a misunderstanding. But in Vegas, that's all it takes. It wasn't long after the news broke that Kendrick Perkins, former NBA player and current ESPN analyst, took to the mic to explain just how serious these Vegas markers can be. Perkins wasn't just speculating. He'd lived it. On the Road Trippin' podcast, Perkins warned that owing money to a Las Vegas casino is a mistake you can't afford to make. He said the DA's office in Clark County has an entire system built to track and prosecute these debts. They don't play around, he said. You cannot owe them casinos money in Las Vegas. Perkins then opened up about his own past, admitting that he had once struggled with gambling and even had to ban himself from entering casinos.
4 or 5 years ago, I actually had an addiction in gambling. I actually went up to the casino and signed that I would never gamble again.
He talked about how easy it is for athletes with access to massive paychecks and VIP treatment to fall into the trap. The environment is seductive and the rules feel different until they're not. His message was simple. This isn't about Marcus Morris being reckless or irresponsible. It's about a system designed to move fast, act hard, and make examples out of people, especially when those people are famous. Eventually, Marcus Morris had enough. After days of headlines and speculation, he and his twin brother Markeith decided to speak directly to fans. They posted a short video online, casually dressed, no PR spin, just two brothers clearing the air. Marcus explained that he never intended to defraud anyone. The markers he took out weren't cashed for spending money. They weren't hidden or forged. The money was used exactly where it was supposed to be, inside the casino. He emphasized that he didn't write a check and walk out with chips stuffed in his socks. He gambled with it. And like most gamblers, he assumed he had time to settle the debt, but the casino didn't wait. Once the 30-day deadline passed, they took it straight to the DA's office. And when Morris didn't respond fast enough, either because of travel, miscommunication, or assumption, a warrant was issued. Markeith, clearly frustrated, called the arrest a setup. He said the situation could have been resolved quietly, even privately. They could have just come to the crib, he said. Instead, they embarrassed him. For Marcus, the worst part wasn't even the headlines. It was the time he spent in custody. 51 hours, he said. No food, no water, nothing.
But I asked for water. They was like, we don't have water. I'm like, you don't have water? You don't got the little... Damn, I can't even drink water. So the entire time, that 51 hours, I ain't eat nothing or I ain't drink nothing.
This is the part that confuses people most. How does a seasoned NBA player, someone who's made over $100 million in career earnings and has access to agents, lawyers, and financial advisors, not know that missing a casino payment could get him arrested? The truth is, many athletes don't fully understand how Nevada's casino laws work. Most assume that casino markers operate like a short-term loan or a personal line of credit, and in many states, that's more or less true. But as we discussed earlier, Nevada is different. In Nevada, if you don't pay within the time frame, the check is considered bounced, and the casinos will come at you with everything they've got. Intent doesn't matter. Whether you plan to pay or just forgot is irrelevant. Once the casino turns the marker over to the district attorney, it becomes a legal issue, and if you don't respond immediately, a warrant goes out. That's what likely happened with Marcus. Maybe there was a delay in communication. Maybe he assumed it would be handled by someone on his team. Maybe he thought it was already paid. Regardless, once the system kicked in, it didn't matter what he thought. All that mattered was the missed payment, and now he was treated the same way anyone else would be. Even Kendrick Perkins, speaking from personal experience, said he'd seen it happen to others. Athletes often get caught in the illusion of control until suddenly they're not in control at all. Marcus Morris didn't just get arrested, he vanished into the system. Held without bail for a casino debt he thought could be handled with a phone call. He ended up spending 51 hours in custody with no food, no water, and no explanation. The first 24 of those hours, he was placed in the psych ward. Not because he requested it, not because he was unstable, but because the system saw a high-profile arrest and didn't know what to do with it. Morris described it as one of the most surreal experiences of his life. A cold, silent place where time dragged and no one spoke. And yet, in that darkness, there were moments that stuck with him. He talked about one man in the holding area, another inmate, who walked over and handed him a bag of commissary chips. No words, just a quiet gesture of respect.
Drink. No, matter of fact, I had a bag of chips. Shout out to the homie that came to the cell. Like, bro, I see you didn't eat nothing. You know, here go a bag of chips. And I was like, damn. Shout out to Cuz for definitely throwing me them chips, and I'm definitely gonna bless you, bro.
In a place designed to dehumanize, that moment reminded Marcus that people still saw him. Then, when it was finally time for him to leave, something happened that even caught him off guard. As the guard opened the door and he was walked out of custody, the entire holding unit started clapping. Some cheered, others just nodded. But in that small act of recognition, Marcus felt something real. Not just respect, but solidarity.
She made a call, I heard it on the loudspeaker. speaker. Morris, you good? You free to go? Yo, they said you can get out. Open the cell door up. And then I'm walking through the jail, and it's not funny, but like niggas was clapping, knocking on the joint, you know what I'm saying? Like hey, just let me home. Ah, this is crazy.
For those 51 hours, he wasn't a millionaire. He wasn't an NBA vet. He was just another man stuck in the system. And when he walked out, it was the people inside who reminded him of his worth. That's what changed him. Not just the arrest, but the humbling reality of being stripped of everything: freedom, identity, dignity, and finding small pieces of humanity in the people who had every reason not to offer it. Marcus Morris is far from the first athlete to end up in this kind of situation. In 2009, former NBA star Antoine Walker was arrested for failing to repay over $800,000 in casino markers. His career had already taken a downturn, but the scandal put a permanent dent in his legacy. Even though he eventually paid the debt, the damage was done. Charles Barkley, one of the league's most beloved personalities, has openly admitted to losing nearly $10 million gambling in Las Vegas.
I love to gamble. I don't like to gamble. I got to the point, I would go to Vegas and I'd win $1 million. There's probably been 7 times that I won $1 million.
Okay.
There's probably been 25 times I've lost $1 million.
Right.
While he never faced criminal charges, his story highlights just how easily even the most successful players can fall into these high-stakes traps. The problem? It's bigger than it seems. Las Vegas thrives on secrecy until it doesn't. And when a big name like Marcus Morris gets caught up in the system, it sends a message: the house always wins, and they don't care if you play for the NBA. So what's next? As of now, Marcus Morris hasn't been formally charged with fraud, but the warrant was real, and the debt still exists. Under Nevada law, failing to repay a casino marker over $1,200 is considered a Category D felony. That means potential prison time, anywhere from 1 to 4 years, plus mandatory restitution and additional legal fines. In most cases like this, things are resolved through repayment. Once the money is paid, or a payment plan is negotiated, prosecutors often reduce or drop the charges. That's likely what will happen here. Marcus has already spoken publicly, denied any intent to defraud, and made it clear he's willing to handle the situation. But even if he avoids jail time, the incident leaves a stain. The headlines won't go away. The mugshot is online. The narrative is out there. And in professional sports, perception can matter just as much as performance. As of his arrest in July 2025, Marcus Morris hasn't officially retired, but he also hasn't played since the 2023 to 2024 NBA season. While he wasn't on a roster, he wasn't out of the spotlight. In fact, Marcus and his brother Markieff had recently begun making guest appearances on ESPN, testing the waters as potential analysts. Their chemistry, insight, and honest opinions made waves. For fans, it felt like the beginning of a new chapter, one where the Morris twins could transition from hardwood to headlines. But now, that momentum is in question. The arrest complicates everything. Whether it's returning to the court for one final season or cementing a future in broadcasting, the path just got murkier. NBA teams might hesitate to bring in a player who just made headlines for being jailed. TV networks, especially ones like ESPN, are notoriously careful about who they put in front of a camera. It's not about guilt, it's about optics. Still, all isn't lost. Marcus Morris hasn't run from this. He's spoken out, explained his side, and owned the situation. And in today's media landscape, transparency matters. If he chooses to play again and a team gives him that chance, he can still close out his NBA career on his own terms. And if he leans into broadcasting, this experience, painful as it was, might just make him more relatable, more human. Either way, his next move is everything. What happened to Marcus Morris is about more than money. It's about how quickly the ground can shift under your feet, even when you've played by the rules. This isn't just about a bounced check. It's about the silence of those 51 hours in lockup. It's about a justice system that prioritizes embarrassment over empathy. And it's about the pressure that comes with being a professional athlete, where one mistake becomes a headline and every misstep becomes a scandal. Marcus Morris didn't hurt anyone. He didn't rob, cheat, or steal. He borrowed money to gamble, something Vegas encourages every single day, and missed the deadline. That's it. But in Vegas, missing a deadline is enough to make you a felon. And next time, it won't be Marcus. It'll be someone else, someone younger, with fewer resources, less support, and no platform to speak from. The system will keep turning. The headlines will keep coming. And that's why this story matters. If this story shocked you, just wait. From fake agents to underground betting scandals, we're diving into the NBA's wildest untold stories. Stories that go deeper than the box score. So if you want more content like this, stories the mainstream won't touch, hit that subscribe button. Smash the bell so you're first in line when the next video drops. And remember, in the NBA, nothing is ever as simple as it seems. Not even a trip to Vegas.